No, it's really what it is. It's
Well,
a
I know.
2.5.
I know that. So now we figure out what the other options are, or we just.
What verse?
We're on 20. Israel defeated by force of arms, like arms, and took control of his land from the Arnon to the Yabok River, but only as far as the people of Ammon, of the Ammonites, because the territory of the people of the Ammonites was well defended. Israel took all these cities. Israel lived in all the cities of the Amorites, in Heshbon and all its surrounding towns. Heshbon was the city of Sichon. Is that correct? What's 26 say on yours? What's the city name of it?
26. Oh, it's over here.
21, 26.
Fishbone.
Sihon. Sihon. Okay.
Yeah.
So here is Shihon. I just didn't know it was the king of the Amorites, of the Amorite, right? Yep. Who had fought against the former king of Moab and conquered all his land up to the Arnon. This is why the storytellers say, this is cool, because again, in understanding that Numbers is a chapter broken storytelling of each chapter of different stages of their walk, of their journey. It's like the camp scouts going out to a mountain camp and going through and then coming around and then writing a story of
journal.
During this time we encountered this. Yeah, journal. And then what they encountered, what they defeated, what occurred, what were the important parts, right? You can't write every single detail. So it tells me also that this took place over time. The Lord, he says he brought them to a place and then they got tired again. Why? Because obviously they stay there for a while and then they become complacent again. Then they begin to whine. So many years go by through all this, whereas we're reading it as if they're just kind of camping out 1 week and then bouncing to the next one as we read along. And it's like, no, they spend hundreds of years there, because sometimes even a generation will die. And even the thought of thinking that it got to the point that they became so complacent that now the Lord brings poisonous snakes to the area. Why? Because he wills it. Because the people become complacent. So now he needs to draw them again. Give them an itch. Put a fire under their ass. He's like, come on. Let's remember what this whole thing is about. Your flesh is going to rot. So now let's establish this again. But in this very word right here of what this poisonous snake and put it on a pole does. Well, welcome to 2021 in our Pfizer and Moderna generation, people. That alters our chromosomes of our DNA on a molecular level. Thank you, Mr. Gates. You've entered our last gate of our temple. And now you are kind of there permanent, according to these chromosomes that are now applicable to, what do they call it? Hybridization.
And now in your system.
And then they go to that theme. And then the camera goes zoom, zoom. Yeah, 5G is going to get, again, they have smart dust now. They're able to put nanotechnology. Do you know what nanotechnology? Let's spell nanotechnology. Mark from Art. Can we spell nano? Nano. I tell you, this world is, that's why, again, you see our costumes? This is life on stage. We're not performing for any of these. We live for one. His name is Truth. G-Z-U-Z, that is. Everybody else, they can play whatever play they want. I say it's time to be real. And if we're not real every day, then who are we pretending to be?
Y'all ring my word. Y'all wear what you want.
Absolutely. That is the beauty.
Mine says, therefore, those who use Proverbs say,
this is why the storytellers say, right? Because again, these stories of how these things go, it's like, come to Heshbon, let it be rebuilt. Let Sihon city be restored. For fire burst out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sichon. It consumed Ar of Moab, the lords of Arnon's high places. Woe to you, Moab! You are destroyed, people of Chemosh. He let his sons be fugitives, and his daughters captives of Sihon, king of the Amorites. We shut them down. Heshbon is destroyed, all the way to Divon. We even laid waste to Nophah, which extends as far as Medeba. Thus Israel lived in the land of the Amorites. Moses sent men to reconnoiter. That means to spy, people. Yazer, which one's that? 32? 20.
Moses sent to spy out Jazer.
Jazer. Okay, check it out. So he says, Moses sent men to spy on Jazer. They captured its towns and drove it out of the Amorites who were there. Then, 33, they turned and went up along the road of Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, marched out against them, he with all his people, to fight the Edrei Maftir. Or no, what does that mean? 33.
The Lord said to Moses, what?
Yeah, 33.
30.
Read 33.
Then they turned and went up by way of Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, went out with his people for battle at Edrei. Edor.
At Edrei. Yeah, so it's a place. And it says, Adonai said to Moses, don't be afraid of him, for I have handed him over to you with all his people and his land. You will treat him just as you did Sichon, king of the Amorites, who lived at Heshbon. So they struck him down with his sons and all his people, until there was no one left alive. And then they took control of his land. See, you see that again, that he is giving them a courage to grow by beating up the little ones first that are their size, because he was ready to show them what he would do for them, but they didn't have enough confidence in themselves to say they'd go forthwith and trusted their God that would have interceded for them as he had told them. You remember that? That's a challenge. We're going to find out who would know that. Why did they last so long in the Exodus desert?
Well, they got manna first of all.
Oh yeah, but the Lord would have brought them through quicker had they have gone through. The Lord would have helped them defeat the giants, and just by, hey, blast that trumpet again, and them giants would have probably disinflated.
Chapter 22.
Or deflated, right?
Yeah, deflated.
You know, I'm a high school dropout, I think.
Then the sons of Israel journeyed and camped in the plains of Moab, beyond the Jordan opposite Jericho. Now Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all of Israel saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. So Moab was in great fear because of the people, for they were numerous. And Moab was in dread of the sons of Israel. Moab said to the elders of Midian, now this horde will lick up all that is around us, as the ox licks up the grass of the field. And Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of Moab at that time. So he sent messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor, at Pethor, which is near the river, in the land of the sons of his people, to call him, saying, behold, the people came out of Egypt. Behold, they cover the surface of the land, and they are living opposite me. Now therefore, please come, curse this people for me, since they are too mighty for me, and perhaps I may be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that he whom you bless is blessed, and he whom you curse is cursed. I was wondering who's saying all that. So the elders of Moab and the elders of Midian departed with the thieves for divination in their hand. And they came to Balaam and repeated Balak's words to him.
Okay, there you go. So you were asking who was saying all this, right? So I heard it says.
Now, the son of Saul.
No, it says Balak.
Right there.
Yeah, so it says Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done to the Amorites. So Moses was in great fear.
No, Moab.
Right, so Moab was in great fear because of the people, for they were numerous and Moab was in dread of the sun, and Moab said. So yeah, it was Moab that said all that.
Mm-hmm.
True, I was wondering myself. So yeah, Moab was the one that sent all this. And think about it, because the Moabitess, who is that? Ruth.
Yes.
Yeah. And think of just the wow.
And he said to them, spend the night here, and I will bring word back to you as the Lord may speak to me. And the leaders of Moab stayed with Balaam. Then God came to Balaam and said, God's speaking to other people now.
Well, it's in the sense of how he went to seek wisdom, because you have to think he didn't use an actual prophet; he used an interceder. Okay.
Then God came to Balaam, and said, "Who are these men with you?" And Balaam said to God, "Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent word to me. Behold, there is a people who came out of Egypt, and they cover the surface of the land. Now come, curse them for me. Perhaps I may be able to fight against them and drive them out." And God said to Balaam, "Do not go with them. You shall not curse the people, for they are blessed."
He's like, oh.
He's scratching his head now.
Yep.
So Balaam arose in the morning and said to Balak's leaders, "Go back to your land, for the Lord has refused to let me go with you." And the leaders of Moab arose and went to Balak and said, "Balaam refused to come with us."
He said, "Go set forth."
Instant leaders, more numerous and more distinguished than the former. And they came to Balaam and said to him, "Thus says Balak, the son of Zippor, let nothing, I beg you, hinder you from coming to me. For I will indeed honor you richly, and I will do whatever you say to me. Please come and curse the people for me." Balaam answered and said to the servants of Balak, "Though Balak were to give me his house full of silver and gold, I could not do anything, either small or great, contrary to the command of the Lord my God. Now please, you also stay here tonight, and I will find out what else the Lord will speak to me." And God did come back. And God came to Balaam at night and said to him, "If the men have come to call you, rise up and go with them. But only the word which I speak to you shall you do."
Aha! He's setting up. It's like stage set.
So Balaam arose in the morning and saddled his donkey and went with the leaders of Moab. But God was angry because he was going. And the angel of the Lord took his stand in the way as an adversary against him. Now he is riding on his donkey, and his two servants are with him. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, the donkey turned off from the way and went into the field. But Balaam struck the donkey to turn her back into the way. Then the angel of the Lord stood in the narrow path of the vineyards, with a wall on this side and a wall on that side. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, she pressed herself to the wall and pressed Balaam's foot against the wall, so he struck her again. And the angel of the Lord went further and stood in the narrow place where there was no way to turn to the right or to the left. When the donkey saw the angel of the Lord, I think this is number 4, She lay down under Balaam. So Balaam was angry and struck the donkey with his stick. And the Lord opened the mouth of the donkey, and she said to Balaam, "What have I done to you that you have struck me these 3 times?" And Balaam said to the donkey, "Because you have made a mockery of me. If there had been a sword in my hand, I would have killed you by now." And the donkey said to Balaam, "Am I your donkey on which you have ridden all your life to this day? Have I ever been accustomed to do so to you?" He said, "No." Then the Lord opened the eyes of Balaam, and he saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed all the way to the ground. And the angel of the Lord said to him, "Why have you struck your donkey these 3 times? Behold, I have come out as an adversary because of your way contrary to me. But the donkey saw me and turned aside from me these 3 times. If she had not turned aside from me, I would have surely killed you just now and let her live."
And it stayed alive.
And Balaam said to the angel of the Lord, "I have sinned, for I did not know that you were standing in the way against
Ready
me.
to cut my
Now then,
throat.
If it displeases you, I will turn back." But then the angel of the Lord said to Balaam, "Go with the men, but you shall speak only the word which I shall tell you." So Balaam went along with the leaders of Balak.
How's that? Again, because he wasn't no chosen. He was just someone who was sought after. He's just clarifying, is like, let's just make sure you know what you will be saying is.
I hope he says it correctly, because he's been given these instructions.
Ultimatum is like already rescued thrice from imminent.
So when Balak heard that Balaam was coming, he went out to meet him at the city of Moab, which is on the Aram border at the extreme end of the border. Then Balak said to Balaam, Did I not urgently send you to call you? Did I not urgently send to you to call you? Why did you not come to me? Am I really unable to honor you?" So Balaam said to Balak, "Behold, I have come now to you. Am I able to speak anything at all? The word that God puts in my mouth, that I shall speak." And Balaam went with Balak, and they came to Corinthus.
Kiryat Hutzah.
And Balak sacrificed oxen and sheep and sent some of Balaam, the leaders who were with him. Then it came about in the morning that Balak took Balaam and brought him up to the high place of Baal. And he saw from there a portion of the people.
Balaam said to Balak, "Build me 7 altars here, and prepare me 7 bulls and 7 rams here." Balak did as Balaam said. Then Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, "Stand by your burnt offering while I go off. Maybe Adonai will come and meet me, and whatever he shows me, I will tell you." He went off to a bare hill. God met Balaam, who said to him, "I prepared the 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each altar." Then Adonai put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, "Go on back to Balak and speak as I tell you." He went back to him, and there, standing by his burnt offering, he, with all the princes of Moab, he made his pronouncement. "Balak, the king of Moab, brings me from Aram, from the eastern hills, saying, 'Come curse Jacob for me. Come and denounce Israel.' How am I to curse those whom God has not cursed? How am I to denounce those whom Adonai has not denounced? From the top of the rocks I see them. From the hills I behold them. Yes, a people that will dwell alone and not think itself one of the nations. Who has counted the dust of Jacob or numbered the ashes of Israel? May I die as the righteous die. May my end be like theirs. Balak said to Balaam, what have you done to me? To curse my enemies is why I brought you. And here you have totally blessed them. He answered, Mustn't I take care to say just what Adonai puts in my mouth? Balak said to him, all right, come with me to another place where you can see them. You will see only some of them, not all, but you can curse them for me from there. He took him through the field of Zophim. What does yours say? 14.
So he took him to the field of Zophim,
to the top of the Pisgah range, built 7 altars, and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Balaam said to Balak, stand here by your burnt offering while I go over there for a meeting.
over yonder.
Over yonder.
That's funny.
Adonai met Balaam, put a word in his mouth, and said, go on back to Balak and speak as I tell you. He came to him and stood by his burnt offering with all the princes of Moab. Balak asked him, what did Adonai say? Then Balaam made his pronouncement. So this is the second time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the guy's saying, curse them. He's saying, no, he can't. I can't curse them. Those are the people the Lord blessed. Well, okay, come over this way. How about those? Curse those. And then this is that second encounter. Get up, Balak, and listen. Turn your ears to me, son of Zippor. God is not a human who lies, or a mortal who changes his mind. When he says something, he will do it. When he makes a promise, he will fulfill it. Look, I am ordered to bless. When he blesses, I can't reverse it. No one has seen guilt in Jacob or perceived perversity in Israel. Adonai, their God, is with them and acclaimed as king among them. God, who brought them out of Egypt, gives them the strength of a wild ox. Thus, one can't put a spell on Jacob. No magic will work against Israel. It can now be said of Jacob and Israel, what is this that God has done? Here is a people rising up like a lioness, like a lion god of the slain. Balak saying, Adonai says, that should be said by all vessels of dirt. Balak said to Balaam, come, I will take you now to another place. Maybe it will please God for you to curse them for me there. Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, or what is that one? 28. Overlooking the desert. Balaam said to Balak, build me 7 altars here and prepare me 7 bulls and 7 rams. Balak did as Balaam said and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. What do you think's going to happen tomorrow? Repeat on 23.
Well, if you go on
It's a given.
until they get it.
Again, it's got to be at least 3 times, right? It's a given. Now that name, Peor.
Yeah. Oh,
Actually-
commentary. You want me to read it?
Yeah, if you'd like to.
It's just on that.
The beauty of this all is that
that name Peor actually still means something. And it does mean from bad to worse, from bad to worst.
In the northern Peor, in the northern part of the range from which Balaam could see the camp of Israel, it also overlooked the wasteland. So
It also overlooked the wasteland.
Northern part of the range of what is
where they were.
yeah, okay.
Were-
Well, yeah, they were over by their Exodus times. So yeah, we can see what their Exodus times were.
yeah.
Because I'm somewhat convinced that though we're not in the same place or we're not in even the same region, the Lord allows for the same story to be repeated. Because we tend to do the same things that people did back then. We learn some things, we become glutton, complacent, we think we deserve, we become glutton, complacent, we think we deserve, we think we've earned, we think we've achieved, that we take God's word out of the equation in any generation, which we could say we enter during a time of the, I'd say, third generation, hers as well. That by the third generation of what this United States Corp was incepted to be, it had already started blinding people of those who came here first and neglected this at some point in their generation. Because we all have to understand that at some point in our past, we still derive out of some other remnant, right? There was a remnant for us to continue. Let's just do the duty of deduction of that. Okay, let's all say, that makes sense. My parents came from somewhere too, and those parents came from somewhere too, and those parents came, okay. Point being, the duty of reducing to where we come from is in realizing that in every place, God's grace has gone and been presented. God is Christ still knocking on doors of hearts and saying, will you let me in? Don't worry about what day to celebrate the birth of my birthday, Christmas, or April, or Easter, or Sunday. No, let me be birthed in your heart, that I may dwell in your soul, that I may remind you that by my word, all of this is a matrix, and it's been altered and changed and broken and flustered and mustered, and the Lord's going to reconstitute it, and what? He will fulfill, where's my sweetheart says it? Fulfill his word, because his will is still yet to be fulfilled.